Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. So if you recall, we finished off the last episode. Let's see, I had just killed a Big Daddy and I was in pretty bad shape. So let's see how things progress. Unfortunately, a little anticlimactic. I've already found 2 medkits. I actually just edited it out. I just went back to some first aid stations that I knew where they were, I know the area, and just destroyed them. When you destroy first aid stations, they give you 1 or 2 medkits. So I healed up, got some medkits, and I'm already in pretty good shape. I still have no Eve and have no hypos, but I have money, and at the time I knew that I had money, so I can always just buy some. So even though things looked pretty dire, in the end, I figured I'd be okay. Otherwise, I would not have saved, or at least saved under a different spot.
We saw our Masha today. We barely recognize her. That's her, Sam said. You're crazy, I told him. That thing? That is our Masha? But he was right. She was drawing blood out of a corpse by Fontaine Fisheries. And then when she was done, she walked off hand in hand with one of those awful golems. Masha!
As often happens when I'm doing live commentary as I was in previous videos, I forgot to show my build. So here's my build. I'm using Electro Bolt and Security Bullseye. Electro Bolt for hacking, and just because it's a useful stun, and for killing guys in water, and then Security Bullseye for... it just target paints enemies and makes them trigger alarms with cameras. I replace that with Telekinesis. Really, in any build, I would say you generally want to have Electro Bolt and Telekinesis, especially Telekinesis. You can get by without Electro Bolt if you're using, say, the shotgun with Electric Buck, using that as a substitute. And right here, I'm reordering my plasmids because when you spec, it kind of screws up your keybinds, and you have to spec in a certain way that you get them attached to the correct keybinds. Next up is Tonics. These are physical tonics. So I'm using Hacker's Delight, I believe, which is just when I hack, I get some health back. I'm using Medical Expert, which gives me extra health when I use medkits. I'm not using Scrounger, which lets you essentially loot things twice if you didn't like your first loot because it's random. Next up is Engineering Tonics. They generally affect hacking and robots. So I'm using Security Expert and I'm using Speedy Hacker. Security Expert makes hacking security systems easier, specifically bots, turrets, and cameras. Speedy Hacker slows the flow speed when you're hacking for everything, so it just makes all hacking easier, essentially. And then last is Combat Tonics. I'm using Armored Shell, which reduces physical damage, and Static Discharge, which discharges electricity whenever I'm hit in melee. And I'm not using Wrench Jockey, which is primarily used for a wrench build. As you probably saw at this point in the game, and probably one of the reasons that I wasn't showing my build yet, was that there's... oh, here's actually a new combat tonic. I got it from researching a Leadhead Splicer, Static Discharge 2. You can stack Static Discharge 1 and 2 together for additional effect. Note that if you're hitting melee with Static Discharge and you don't have the tonic that you eventually get that makes you immune to electricity when you're, like, if you're standing in water, the shock will hurt you unless you're immune to electricity, so keep that in mind. But as I was going to say, I don't have a lot of different tonics to choose from at this point. For most of them, I only had 2 slots and only 2 tonics to fill them, so I'm not really able to specialize yet. But you definitely can eventually. You can specialize. There are definitely a good variety of builds in this game, which gives it a solid replayability factor to it. Note that I just skipped the hacking on that turret. Let me know if you guys like seeing the sped up pipes, or if you'd prefer if I just edited it out entirely like I did there. I figure that it probably gets repetitive to watch after a while, even sped up, but let me know in the comments.
Me wife, Moira, she's a right pain in the neck, but she's a beauty, and she means the world to me. I can't help feel God's punishing me for bringing her and Patrick to this place. I thought this would be a better life. die for us. Can you imagine a bigger fool than that?
Moving right along. I'm leaving that health station up because I have a solid amount of medkits at this point, and I might want to use it to heal up later. You don't want to destroy all of them, if possible. Unless you're leaving a level and you're sure you won't be coming back, you can return to levels in this game. You can use the bathysphere system to go back if you didn't kill all the big daddies you wanted to kill and rescue all the little sisters, or you just missed a tonic or something. But if you're sure you're not going to be coming back, then you could just destroy them all to max out your medkits if you're not at max yet. And right here, I was confused by the cackling and the bombs, and as it happens, there was a nitro splicer there, but she was in an elevated position where I couldn't see her. And I do, right there, I'm realizing, oh, aha. Next up, we are going to kill another Big Daddy, so that'll be number 2 of 3 for Neptune's bounty. I'm demonstrating a really important and really solid strategy for dealing with Big Daddies. That is the Big Daddy Bomb, where you place X number of proximity mines on a explosive barrel, or in this case an oxygen tank, and then pick it up with telekinesis and toss it at the Big Daddy. And if you have enough proximity mines, you can actually one-shot the Big Daddy. Though halfway through the game, they do get increased health, so I think you still can if you use enough and you've upgraded your grenade launcher's damage, but I'm not totally sure on that. Also, I switched over to Electric Buck in preparation for dealing with the Big Daddy. Electric Buck is another really useful tool for dealing with them, especially early in the game. So, walked right into that. I tossed the bomb, which did about half his health worth of damage, a little over, and then just another couple grenades, and now I'm finishing him off with Electro Bolts and Electric Buck. Probably shouldn't have bothered with the Electro Bolts. They don't really do that much damage at level 1, especially if he's not standing in water, but I guess I wasn't really concerned with conserving Eve at the time. So, there he goes. Really not a problem. The Big Daddy bomb strategy works really well, though it is resource expensive. Proximity mines are expensive, and they're not super common. You should definitely be conservative with it. And again, just going to rescue this little sister. This is a rescue playthrough because I am a goody-goody. It will ultimately award me with the most possible Atom. Harvest playthroughs make the game easier earlier on. Rescue playthroughs are more rewarding in the long run, and mixed playthroughs give you a mix of both. Who knew? We now need to kill the spider splicer that's been stalking us since the beginning of the game. I believe her name is Rose. And I'm just listening to the pretty music. I'm going to get anti-personnel rounds ready in my submachine gun, which is what I would recommend for dealing with her. Anti-personnel rounds, as the name implies, are very effective against fleshy targets, like splicers. And I'm now receiving my first reward from saving little sisters. I'm getting a bunch of Atom, Hypnotized Big Daddy, which I won't be using, and extra ammo, armor-piercing rounds for the pistol, which are nice against Big Daddies, and I'm now going to buy upgrades with my surplus of Atom. So, priority is health upgrades, Eve upgrades, plasmid slots, and then new plasmids and tonics. In this playthrough, in my wrench build, because of tonics you get for the wrench, I never really bothered with Winter Blast. In this playthrough, I'm going to try to use it, especially because I will be using the shotgun, which is very versatile, and will let me use Electric Buck and Explosive Buck in place of Electro Bolt and Incinerate in a pinch anyway. So of all the builds, this seems like a good one to make use of Winter Blast. My go-to plasmids will be Winter Blast, Telekinesis, Security Bullseye, and then once I have enough slots, I might just toss Electro Bolt and Incinerate back in there. I'm not totally sure beyond the first 3. And to be honest, it's been so long since I've done a full playthrough of the game, I don't remember all the plasmids in the game. I could use Hypnotize Big Daddy, which is powerful and useful, though you do have to be really careful if you're fighting alongside one, because if you accidentally shoot him, it will turn him hostile, and those guys remain hostile until you kill them.
Shatter them into 1,000
So something to keep in mind. And I'm buying Eve Link, which whenever I use medkits, I get a little Eve back. It is now time to kill Rose. Standard strategy is just actually use all the anti-personnel... Oh, and I'm going to quickly get my plasmids in order. I will use anti-personnel rounds with the SMG, and that's basically it. I'll Winter Blast in a pinch. You could use the same Big Daddy Bomb strategy on her. She is pretty tough, especially for a Spider Splicer. Oh, I'm editing this. I just went back to pick up an extra med kit because she is pretty dangerous. But she's just a Spider Splicer that has more health. She might do more damage. Any strategy you would normally use against a Spider Splicer does apply to her. She's a good target to actually use grenades on and some of your more exotic ammo. I'm picking up Wrench Lurker, a really, really useful tonic. I would include it in pretty much any build. It quiets your footsteps. It makes you basically do backstab damage. You do bonus damage when you attack an enemy from behind with the wrench. But even more importantly, for any build, it quiets your footsteps, which lets you sneak up on enemies and avoid fighting splicers if you so choose. It's really, really, really useful. And it's especially useful for the shotgun, which functions a lot like the wrench. So as you can see, anti-personnel rounds are doing a ton of damage to her. Hello! I'm trying to exercise trigger discipline, because if you tap the left mouse button on the SMG rather than doing full auto, you reduce recoil dramatically. But when she's in your face like that, sometimes it's hard to resist. Which is, by the way, a really solid strategy for the SMG. Before you have the recoil upgrade, just tap the left mouse button rapidly rather than holding it down. That gives you essentially the same thing, just the same effect as the accuracy upgrade. There she goes, not too difficult.
They sure go down easy once you research them up right. Come on in and show us those snappies.
And that makes it a good idea to buy the damage upgrade first. So thanks for watching, stay tuned for more. Please like the video if you liked it, please sub if you'd like to see more, leave comments and feedback, ask questions, I'll get back to you. This is, again, part of the playlist, so please watch the full series if you are interested. Check out my other stuff, I have literally hundreds of videos, it'd be great if you'd watch that. And let me know what you guys think of this. I showed my face throughout the entirety of the last episode. Again, this is an experiment, so feedback is much appreciated. I think what makes more sense is I can just talk to you guys face to face in the intro and in the outro, but unless I'm just doing live comm or live streaming, which I don't really do, but hypothetically if I was, I would just have my face present throughout the entire video in the upper left corner or wherever, and that just seems to make more sense. Let me know what you guys think. Comments, feedback, it's much appreciated. Alright guys, have a good one.